Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everyone. We need to be grateful for what we have in life. And you've heard that before, giving thanks and just even saying thank you sometimes means so much. But why is it so important? Many say it will move your life forward. You will have more things to be grateful for if you are grateful in the first place. How and why? That's what we're going to talk about today, and many different ways to practice gratitude. She's somebody that gives a lot of insight on all of this, and she practices it and enables others to be grateful for what they have. And we'll explain that in just a moment. She's part of a wonderful mental health facility in Massachusetts. New Beginnings is the name of that. And she is Sherri, and you know what? All this time, I didn't mess up your last name. And here I am thinking about it. And now I did. Alexandrovich.
Alexandrovich, yeah.
Diamond of the Decade is back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, thank you. Glad to be back home. Had an amazing trip in Ghana, but definitely was ready to come home last night. Flight got canceled out of New York because of the snow. So I had someone that was able to come and pick me up, which was nice, so that Christopher and I were able to kind of get home at a fairly decent hour and kind of reacclimate back to work today. So, yeah.
Well, why don't we start there and we'll go deeper into gratitude. But here is an orphanage that you've been helping for, I want to say it's been a few years. Has it been just about?
It's been almost a year now. So,
okay.
So our first trip, so it started in the fall of last year in 2024. So actually, a little over a year. So no, you're correct. I'm sorry. Yep. I'm forgetting where we're at in the time frame of things.
But you know what? You've done so much there that it seems like it's been longer because you've got so much accomplished in a shorter period of time. You're seeing gratitude in real time with the people there. Tell us what you're seeing, what you're experiencing based on your work.
Okay, so the first thing that we did when we were in Ghana was we went to one of the elementary schools that we had visited when we went back in February. And what we were able to do for them was buy all of the kids whose uniforms were either tattered or worn, or kiddos that didn't have uniforms. So we provided all new uniforms for them. And as the kids were coming up and getting the uniforms, we were taking pictures of like the old uniforms just for kind of comparison reasons, so that we can kind of let people know what the conditions of things are down there. The smiles on these kiddos' faces as we were handing out these uniforms kind of one by one and calling them up, and we provided drinks and snacks, and also we paid their exam fees. So how it works back in Ghana is that in order to go on to the next grade, you have to pass a test, but you have to pay for this test. So if you can't afford to pay for the test, you don't get to move on to the next grade. You stay in the grade that you're at until your family can afford to pay for this exam. So what we did was New Beginnings was able to pay for all of the kiddos who couldn't afford to pay to be able to take the test to move on to the next grade. And as we're, and like I said, everybody is so grateful when we go there. So we show up, 3 different dances that the kids had created for us. This was just at the elementary school. This is even before we even got to the orphanage. And, just seeing these kids, this one little girl came up, and she had her uniform had holes in it, and she didn't even have shoes on. So when we're presenting and I see her coming up, it was so difficult to get through those moments, because here we are here in the United States, and the amount of waste, the amount of things that get taken for granted. And then you go to a school where these kids are walking around barefoot, and I'll tell you, it was really very, very difficult to have that experience. It's just so bittersweet when we go there, And so that was one of the trips that we had done, was to the elementary school. And then from there, we went to the Vedema orphanage, which is in Vedema, in the Voltage region in Africa. And what we were able to provide, so from conception, since New Beginnings involved with Blessed Nourishment with this orphanage, we built the dining hall, we did the water filtration system, we did a kitchen with, the different the pots and things, that a little bit about what Sharisa had talked about last week on the live show. But for this year, what we did was we built two wash houses, one for the boys and one for the girls. And we talked a little bit about that on the show last week. But to be able to have unveiled that, and it wasn't, not all of the bathhouses were done, but the females was 90% done. The men's was, with the boys were still under construction. We had a couple of delays and some rain and some things that kind of postponed it. So when we pull into the orphanage, they had, tents set up and just all of these performances by these kids of gratitude, and the Christmas songs that they were singing and the skits that they had created, just because they were so grateful to have us back again, and not even knowing what we were there to provide. We had done a clothing drive over the summer, and we were able to ship down. So these kids whose clothes they're washing right before bed, drying, getting up in the next morning, putting on the same uniforms or the same clothes that they had. So not only did we get new uniforms for them, but we brought down the clothes, shoes from the clothing drive, food, snacks, some more supplies for the school. So as these kids are, and it is so hot in Ghana, and as these kids are doing all of these different performances, there must have been 7 or 8 different performances, and the kids were just so happy and so grateful and so thankful in the music instruments that we brought down, and they had this kind of like a concert that they had done for us. It was so incredibly heartwarming to just watch these kids, and this little 2-year-old, Abra was her name, and she was just kind of dancing around and interweaving. I'm going to have our Facebook page is going to be updated to have an additional section on it that's going to say charity, and under that is going to be videos and all of the things that we've done at this orphanage in all of the different towns since New Beginnings has been involved in the last kind of year and a half, so that folks who are listening to the podcast, they don't have to necessarily, Google what Blessed Nourishment looks like. They're going to be able to find it on the New Beginnings website, the pictures, the videos, the kiddos. And then we gave a $1,000 scholarship for each to the top 2 students that need to go on to high school. So in Ghana, high school is considered, you have to pay for that. And so they don't have, access to go on to their education if they don't have the funding for that. And I had asked them to kind of break down what that looks like in terms of, the cost. And so it's about $1,000 a year, about 330 a semester. And it goes in 3 semesters, and that covers everything. So these kids, the high school is off campus, so it's off the orphanage. They stay there. So when these kiddos go, they go. That's their room and board. That's their fees for their school supplies. That includes everything. So think about that. $1,000 a year includes everything for these kids to go on to high school. High school's 3 years for them. It's 3 semesters and it's 3 years. So each kid, it's $3,000 to finish. So New Beginnings was able to send 2 kids, the top 2 students, and that's a scholarship that we're going to do every single year. But when you think about all of these other kids, there's 78 kids at this orphanage that are not able to go on to high school because they don't have the money. They can't afford to do that. One of the things that the orphanage is opening is a trade school that they want to do. And in that trade school, they will learn how to do different trades: plumbing, electrician, carpentry. And then the trade-off will be that they will stay at the orphanage for a certain amount of time to kind of give back, their services and things like that. So that's something that they're working towards as well, just to try to give these kids something in addition to an education. And so just being there, immersed in it, the gratitude, the Christmas, oh my God, if I could show you, Steve, the song that they had created, where the boys and the girls were kind of like doing one of these to each other and kind of offsetting the dances back and forth. It's so hard to just compose yourself, because they're just such little angels, and they're just so, oh my God, they're just so amazing to just see how grateful and how thankful they are. And then we distributed the used, clothing from the clothing drive, and the shoes, and these kids, they don't have shoes on their feet. So it's just, it's so amazing, and it's so hard to hold it together. And my emotions just get the best of me, and I try so hard to not, but the tears they just roll down my faces. And I'm so happy to be able to do that for them. And at the same time, I'm so sad for the kids that we're not able to do that for everybody. And it's always one of those things when I go to Ghana is I'm so happy and proud of the things that we can do, and I'm so sad for the
Mm.
things that we can't do quite yet, But I have to remember that so far, what we have done in just a little over a year has been absolutely incredible. And we had asked them what are their next goals. Their next goals are they need a bus because the teachers don't get paid at the orphanage. And what happens is so the kiddos that attend the school at the orphanage, they pay, and that fund is what keeps the orphanage going. But if you saw the conditions of the roads and how remote this orphanage is, you can see that it's really difficult for kids to get to school. So a bus is what's kind of like on their next thing. And what that will do is that will allow them to have more kids come from different towns, and that money will then help to pay for other things at the orphanage, more food, more supplies, teachers, room and board, and things like that. So, incrementally, they're kind of giving us a list of what makes sense in terms of priority for them to be able to be self-sufficient, to get these orphanages up and running, because there is no state sponsor, there's no grants, there's none of the things that here in the US we have to be able to apply for. That just doesn't exist. There isn't even a social services. I mean, some of the teachers were not at the elementary school when we went because one of the students had died, and it was an accident. And it's so heartbreaking to see the things that happen there, and how the kids are getting to and from school. They've got these mopeds. I kid you not, there was an adult on the moped driving, three kids lined up behind them, and one kid on the front of them. So imagine that. There are five people on this moped on these roads that are potholes and dirt. I mean, when we were leaving, it was like pouring rain and the roads were just mud filled. It was absolutely incredible to try to get through. And that's how these kids, I saw this one little kid. Oh, she must have been, I don't know, 5 or 6. There was a 2-mile walk before she got to the school. And it's hot, and they're walking on these dirt roads, and this is how they're getting. But the perseverance, I think, is the point of what I really kind of want to emphasize, is every day they get up and they're grateful that they're able to attend school, because there are so many other kids that aren't able to attend school at all because they're home. Their parents can't afford for them to go to school. And so the kids that can, they're walking a few miles to and from school every single day to obtain an education. And for them, they're happy to do it. You don't see these kids on the side of they're just marching along. They're doing what they need to do to get to school. The smiles are on their faces. They are persevering. They are motivated. They don't have this victim like poor me attitude there where they're expected or it's entitled or any of that. It's genuine gratitude. It's
Mm.
absolutely it's incredible. And there's no Christmas trees at the orphanage. There isn't any of that. So we provided all of the food for them to be able to have Christmas dinner at the orphanage, because they're lucky if they can eat once a day there.
You said the word that it's been bubbling under the entire time. Genuine.
Yeah.
Genuine gratitude. They are being who they are, authentic, no pity party, no victim
No.
mentality, just doing their thing. And it's almost hard to imagine no shoes, number one. Number two, I'm
Mhm.
actually surprised it costs that much there. I would imagine that it would be less. My gosh,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. I mean, it's an
Hmm.
education. And
Right.
then let's go to um, the fact that the bathroom situation was
Oh,
challenging, which
yeah.
you're working on and taking care of. Um, and if I recall, they don't have to pay until they get to high school.
Correct. Correct.
Hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
And so what happens is the town paid, the individual families pay as a nominal fee for them to go to elementary school. It's not free, but it doesn't cost what it costs to go on to high school, if that makes sense. And that's the revenue that they get, that they generate in order to attend elementary school. And if some of these kids their parents can't afford the uniform, so they're not in uniform, so they're going to school and they're different than their peers are at the school, because some of them and some of their uniforms were so tattered and so worn. It was just so sad. And one of the little girls the little girl who didn't have the shoes on, she was so embarrassed that the front of her dress was ripped, that she was like, she was hiding it with her new uniform, because she didn't want people to see how embarrassed that she was of the condition. Like, and the smiles when you're handing them the uniforms, it's just, I can't even, it's so hard to even talk about and not get emotional, because it's just such a different experience when you're there. And the teachers and the letters that we've already received of thankfulness and gratitude and genuineness, it's so heartwarming to see. And the kids were just like, oh my gosh, they were in heaven, and they were so proud of their dances and their performances. And you want to take them all home. And there was these triplets that had been there since birth, and they were 4, and there was 2 girls and a boy. And oh my gosh, they were dressed up in the Ghanaian outfits, the cultural outfits, as they were presenting and doing these dances for us. And the concentration, I guess, is what really, it was just so remarkable to see how involved these kids were in learning these dances and perfecting it and coming out and changing their what they were wearing to come out for the next dance, and being, trying to incorporate some of the Christmas songs from the US so that we could identify with that. It was absolutely incredible. And then we had left the orphanage, and about 2 hours down, we went to another town, Campo, and in that town was just as remote, and also just the conditions were just as bad. And one of the so Sharice's aunt is one of the queens of that region, and she lives in Philadelphia, and she goes down there, and her family's from there, her father's from there, and she does similar to what we're doing at the orphanage, she does for this town. And so when we showed up, now we had made a donation of to her foundation, to the person, Bridget is her name, to her foundation to help these kids. When they had waited for us to come, because we were delayed due to like there was like some traffic and the heat and stuff. When we got there, they had this whole parade waiting for us, where they marched us through the town, and videotapes. The fire department was there, the police, the military police were there, just making sure that everybody was secure and safe, and all of the elders were there, and the kings were there. And it was an experience that I have never had before, and it was so absolutely incredible the way that they welcomed us. And we're so grateful for us to even just come, so they could show us what they were doing in their town. And it just was such an experience. I just to see that and to be able to be part of that is so incredible. So incredible.
And pure gratitude.
Pure gratitude. It's absolutely amazing. And the waving to us, and running behind the bus, and just all of that was like so incredible. And as a token of appreciation for the work that I have been doing in Ghana, they inducted me into into being a queen of their town, which was so honoring. And I wasn't really sure like what was involved in that, but it's Mama Kiafa, and that's Queen of Peace is what they had done. So I got the jewelry and a certificate. So when I go back to the town, that is how I will be considered for, which was speechless, I guess is probably the word that I could come up with, because I don't do this for the recognition or the acknowledgement. And I always want to just, when I go there, I want to do more. And for a town that I've not been affiliated with, but knows of the affiliation that we have done with the orphanage in the other towns. And, now they had this plan unbeknownst to me that I was not aware of, even prior to us making the donation to their town. And so it was just to be appreciated was, I think is really what resonated most for me is just how much they really appreciated the work that we do. And I took a video of the firefighters, of the things that they need in Ghana, just to kind of put lights on things. If you have to call the fire department or the police department, or if somebody has broken into your house or there's an emergency, you have to pay for the gas for these services to come. If you do not have the money for the gas to pay, then they cannot afford to come and to do whatever it is that they need, whether that be
Whoa.
fire at your house. Let that resonate for a moment. So the fire department volunteers their time, and I have a video of these guys that I'm going to show to some of our local fire departments around here to see if we can get donations. They don't have gloves, they don't have hats, they don't have any of the protective gear that they need when they're fighting a fire. They don't have like the helmets, their fire trucks are outdated. And for them to have even attended this event, the charity that was working with the event had to pay their gas to get there, to be able to ensure that there was going to be safety for everybody, because this event was much larger than when we go to the orphanage. There was, way more children and way more people that were there. And just talking to these men, the firefighters that were there and the military police that were there, volunteering their time and explaining that when they need to go to a call, if there's a fire and they don't have the money in their gas tank, they can't go. And imagine volunteering your time to be of service and then being handcuffed because financially the money's not there to make that happen. There's not always water in the fire tank. So sometimes they show up at a fire and there's no water. They're doing the best that they can with what they have. Sherisa was telling me that if somebody breaks into your house and you've held this person captive and you call the police, they're not coming unless you have the money to pay for the gas for them to come. So, I mean, this is what it's like for these people in these towns, that it's so impoverished that without the money, you're handcuffed.
Just no words. And we plan to talk about gratitude today, but here in the States, this puts it into perspective in terms of why we should be grateful. Yeah, we got a lot of us got things going on, some of us more than others, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not minimizing anybody's situation at all, but when you take a look at a little girl, doesn't have shoes, she doesn't care about that. She's more concerned about a little rip in her dress because she doesn't want to be judged by others, because she's got pride even in that situation. So
I'll tell you, all of the children, I mean, all of them have just, like, my heart just has gone out to all of them. But there was this one girl, and I think that she was probably about 9 or 10 based on, I don't really know her history at the orphanage. And she was out front at every single one of the events that they did, every single one of the dances, and the look of determination, of pride, like you just said, that's what made me think of it, was just unspeakable. I wanted to take her home because every child has an opportunity, right? I love all of the children, and everybody has an opportunity to kind of be wonderful and be great. But you know how sometimes you just look at that one kid and you say, she's got something. This little girl, when I saw her, I said, she's got the potential with the right resources to change the world. And I don't say that lightly. I work with kids for a living. This is what I do. I've treated hundreds of them. And not that every child does not have potential or an opportunity. But
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've shared with that in a men's group. And one of the men in the group, he's younger. And you can tell he's got some stuff going on, and it's getting progressively challenging for him. I messaged the leader of the group, and we talk all the time, and I said, we need to help him.
Mm-hmm.
He is full of fire and life, but
Yes.
he's
Yes.
just down on himself, and there's signs of it, and he's the one we need to, just like you're saying. You just
Mm-hmm.
know it. You can feel the energy. You can
Yep.
feel it's there, and sometimes people just need you to, reach your hand out and just
Mm-hmm.
pull them along a little bit.
Absolutely. And she had all of that. And I was talking to my grandson, and he just looked at me. He goes, I'm not going to be the only adopted child, am I? Yeah, yeah. I
you
said,
you got
what?
competition.
I said, well, how do you feel about that? He's like, if we could take the 2-year-old home too, I'd be okay with that, because we just
Mm,
fell in love with the oh my God. Oh, the videos, if you
yeah.
saw her dancing, your heart, I mean, just was like
I already see it.
absolutely.
I got
It
you on it. I
just
can, and I almost don't want to see it because I'm going to cry. So
Oh,
I
and
get.
it was like unbelievable. And they do these dances, and they have these handkerchiefs. And this little 2-year-old walked up into the middle of these people dancing, and was trying to pull the handkerchief so she could have her own. And it was, I mean, I'm talking priceless, beyond priceless.
It's
But
not like they were putting on a show. Hey, they're
no,
helping us. Let's make them
no,
feel welcome and get more.
right.
No, no, no. This is genuine. This is heartfelt,
Oh, it was
and
crazy.
and
Yeah.
you are the queen of peace.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I'll tell you,
serious.
this little girl, she's won my heart beyond anything. And I think we had talked a little bit about last week, Sharice's and I, next step long term is we do want to open an orphanage in Ghana of our own. And I was kind of talking a little bit about getting a dual citizenship and what that looks like, and trying to purchase some land down there. And I have some things on the back end that I need to do over here. And, we're thinking, doesn't Blessed Beginnings sound like an amazing name? And I had, right,
Ooh, yeah.
right, because
Blessed
that's
nourishment and new beginnings.
Blessed
Wow.
Beginnings. Yes, a heart to heart foundation is kind of where my heart's going with this. I said to Sharisa, I could see this little girl, and I did get her name, and I took a picture of her, and I do plan on investigating this a little bit more. But
Mm.
oh, she is somebody that I could see just running this orphanage, and just being so powerful, and having so much potential in the community. And I'm just, I really, this is like going to be for me, in addition to what we're doing with the orphanage, I need to see what it is I can do for her to get her through to the next stages, because she's got my heart. There's nothing
Mm.
that's changing that. And I'll tell you, her determination, and just perfected every dance. I mean, she was flawless. I mean, absolutely on point. The leader, probably one of the younger ones of the group.
But here's the difference. And we're out of time, but
Oh,
here's the thing here. She wasn't perfecting that just to make it
no.
perfect. She was perfecting it to make it perfect for you, to
Yeah.
show her gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
Oh,
That's what's
it
going
was,
on here.
yeah.
How does
Yeah.
somebody, if they're inspired, they're feeling it, it's
Mm-hmm.
the holidays, how can they reach out? How can they support this organization?
So if people are not comfortable going on to the Blessed Nourishment website, there is a donation, donate here. It's on Sharice's website. There's a Cash App, there's a Venmo. That is the easiest way to make that happen. If people want to write a check, they can write the check out to Blessed Nourishment, but they can mail it to New Beginnings. Make sure the check's in Blessed Nourishment's name, not my name, but they can mail it to me over at New Beginnings. There's also going to be a link on my website, which I'm working with now that I'm back. I got to work with my developer to make that happen. So that's also a possibility. You'll be able to get a direct link to those different types of online ways to kind of donate money. In addition to that, we're doing a second truck that's going down. So the Blue Angels is sponsoring New Beginnings for a toy drive, which we're doing on the 21st for our families in the Worcester community. So the Blue Angels has been 25 years this year that they have been servicing the towns of Manchester and Connecticut. And Bernie Helms is the founder and CEO of that. He has graciously included New Beginnings into that. So our families, we are now creating a winter wonderland at New Beginnings on Sunday,
Wow.
where Santa Claus is going to be there, Mrs. Claus is going to be there. We're going to do food. We're going to give out toys. We're going to do ornaments, the whole thing. And then after that's done, we've got toys that are going to be put aside to ship to Ghana. So if anybody wants to drop off shoes, clothes, any donations, personal hygiene stuff at New Beginnings or ship it to New Beginnings, that can go out with the truck. There's going to be another shipment going down in mid-January, along with musical instruments. I mean, we were able to provide some of those, but if anybody has any they want to donate, reach out to me directly from my website. You can email me directly. My information's right on there.
newbeginningswc.com, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing all of this. I'm grateful to learn even more about this because for all of us, it puts it into perspective. And we started talking about gratitude today. This is really where it's at. Sherri Ann, appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.